My name is Jamie Feiler, and my grandmother, Helen Freeman, is a Holocaust survivor.
My name is Rebecca Hutman, and I am involved with the Righteous Conversations Project.
I can never remember not knowing that my grandmother was a survivor of the Holocaust.
I remember in 10th grade in European history we were learning about World War II, and there was a part in our reading that was a little blurb about the Holocaust, and I remember very vividly that my teacher said, "We can't do this justice, so we're just going to skip it."
Most of the time I had my sleeves down on my arms, and then one day somehow it was a little bit pushed up, my sleeve, and Jamie noticed that I have a number, and she was 4 years old.
It was when I was 5, and I really, really wanted to see Home Alone 2. And she didn't want me to see a scary movie because I didn't really like scary movies. And my argument to her was that I was obsessed with The Sound of Music. I watched that all the time, and that had the Nazis, which I thought to be the scariest people ever. I didn't deeply understand the Holocaust, but I understood the magnitude of that evil as greater than anything I'd been exposed to.
What could I tell a 4-year-old girl? I say, Grandma and Grandpa lived in Germany, and they met some people, and they have been very mean, and they put a number. But when you're much older, I will explain more what happened to us during the Second War.
The first time that I heard my grandparents' story was when I was in the 6th grade. It was hard to hear the gruesome details. Her friend had typhus, and even though it's extremely contagious, she wanted to help her, and in the end got typhus but survived. And I just think that the selflessness of that situation shows the person she is now and the person she was then, was just a loving friend and now a loving grandmother and mother.
I think the first time that I really thought about the Holocaust in an intellectual way was in 6th grade, and we all had to write an essay titled "Why Germany?" To think that something so catastrophic could grow out of things that I look around every day and see around me, that was a very scary thing to confront, and it made me understand the importance of bringing the Holocaust into the present moment as a point of discussion, as kind of a gateway into understanding how we can better our own society. I think grappling and reckoning with the Holocaust has been an integral part of me forming my own Jewish identity.
A tradition that my family has kept going as I've grown up is celebrating Shabbat every Friday. Even though I'll go out, I'll hang out with friends after school. When we come back, me and my brother and my sister at 11 o'clock, my mom will have the hall out and we'll say the blessing. We want to keep the tradition going in order to honor my grandparents and their survival.
When I was preparing for my bat mitzvah, I got involved with the Remember Us project. I remembered Victoria Farhi. I was struck by how hard it was for her legacy to transcend the time period of her life that was so short. And now during the Righteous Conversations project, I'm in touch and getting to know all these survivors who I realize were children at the same time as Victoria. I really feel like I'm talking to more than just that survivor, because they speak for that time period that so many of us really want to understand and connect to.
I originally joined the Righteous Conversations project with my grandmother and my mother, and as the project progressed, I became the documentarian. I was able to really listen and watch how the whole entire thing was working as a group project, which was really interesting.
From the survivors, I learned that just even in my daily life, I could be complicit in great evils. And I mean, that's something that you don't want to think about and something that doesn't occur to you, but I don't want to be that bystander. I don't want to be that person.
We should speak up more and do something more and start when they're very young.
For anyone who has this desire to make things better, they light that fire within you.
What they did at Siemens, I guess, at that time, they used us. We have been young kids. I gave up a lot of time, I couldn't carry myself, I was weak, and I didn't see it, no future.
I literally at that moment looked down and I thought, how do I know the jeans I'm wearing were made in such a way that that didn't compromise the rights of the laborers? As part of the Righteous Conversations project, we made public service announcements in collaboration with the survivors to confront some of the modern day injustices that we, the teens, see in our society. So we made this PSA called Learn the Difference. The premise of it is you have two things which look literally identical, and do you know the history behind them? Wouldn't it be great if all of us could say with 100% assurance that the things we're using aren't costing other people their liberties and their lives and their rights.
One of these soccer balls was hand-stitched by a young Pakistani girl during her 16-hour factory shift. One was not. One of these headphones contains conflict minerals mined by a Congolese family forced to labor by an armed militia. One does not. One of these coffees was harvested by a young Colombian boy struggling to meet his quota just before collapsing from exhaustion. One was not. One of these shirts, one of these tapes, one of these eyeshadows, one of these chocolates, one of these light bulbs was created ethically. One was not.
All these things around us that we think are unfair, that we think are unjust, and we want to speak out. If somebody who survived this atrocity comes out and says, I've been through all this, I've seen these terrible things, and whatever's going on right now is not okay, that's something that you really have to take seriously.
So I'm grateful that you and your mother and going around encourage everybody to let them know, because you heard from your grandmother, and this is going to mean a lot to me.
This was created
by the Righteous Conversations project,
a collaboration
of Holocaust survivors and teens
who know what grows from love.